Hey, how's it going, collectors? This is Dave Mack at thecollectioncorner.com, and I've got a nice little treat for you today, a little tutorial video on taking your Hot Toys Superman diorama base from this to this. I think you'll agree that looks pretty cool. It's a lot brighter on the camera than it is on in person, but yeah, without further ado, I'll get straight into it and show you how it's done. So we're going to light up the base for the Hot Toys Superman stand, and before we crack on, you should really have a look to see what kind of things we're going to need to do this. What we have to start with, obviously we're going to need some lights. I've got some cool white LED lights here. I've got some cable. I've actually already soldered part of this in, but I'm going to separate this into two pieces. Forgive my cats in the background, I've got a house of cats at the moment. Separate this into two pieces, maybe even three, to light up underneath here. And then we're going to need, what else? We're going to need obviously a soldering iron, we're going to need some solder, some flux, a bit of electrical tape. Your style of connector, I'm actually going to wire this into my, my existing lighting kit, so I'm just going to use a nice simple DC connector like this. But if you just wanted to wire it directly into the plug socket, you can use a DC connector like this. Maybe just get a single adapter. These particular LEDs are 12 volt. You can get different voltages, obviously, sort of 4 to 5 volts, like they use in a lot of the Hot Toys stands. But this is what we're going to go with now. What else have we got? Wire clippers, obviously, and a good strong blade, because we're going to try and separate the bottom half of the stand over there. Okay, so I'm going to start stripping everything down now, and we'll be right back in just a mo. Okay, so we've got it stripped down. We're just left with the kind of the ice base, and what you'll want to do here, when the base is glued in place or bonded, take a nice sharp knife and run it all the way around the edge here. You will want to put a nice bit of pressure in there, and you'll find some places are probably glued better than others. And if you gently run your knife around, you'll find places where you can get your knife in, and just keep gently prying it apart as you go around. Now, I've obviously already done that on this piece, so I'll take it apart so you can see what we're left with. Yeah, so that's the actual base part, where we can actually stick our LEDs on. And here we go, is the underside of the other piece. Now, I forgot to mention earlier on that you'll obviously need a bit of a drill. I've got this nice little thing here, which will obviously do just for drilling some holes in here to allow the light to shine up through. The other thing I'm going to do is I've got some foil tape, which I use in my light kits, and I'm going to put this just around these areas here, because the paint is a little bit weak, and if I can just shine it up to the light, maybe you can see the light's just shining through here. So I'm going to put some foil tape around here, and I'll obviously need some super glue to reassemble afterwards. So the next thing I'm going to do is start to cut the lights and make them the right size. I'm going to drill some holes in here, and I'm also going to drill a small hole around the back for the power cable to go through. And I'll come back shortly. Okay, so started cutting the holes through. But you've got here, these two sections are actually backed by quite a thin piece of sort of rubbery plastic material. Very easy to cut straight through with a knife. The other bits, a bit harder, so this is where I've drilled basically holes into the corners, so that I can get a knife in there and guide the cutting through. Nice sharp Stanley blade will go in there easy enough, just to kind of show you. A bit of pressure. There we go. It cuts through. So I'm just going to finish off this piece, and then we'll move on to the next part, which is soldering the lights into position. Okay, so now I've got all of these pieces already cut out. So you've got space for the light to go through, and I've gone ahead now and stuck in and soldered the LEDs. So I've just got 3 groups of 3 LEDs here. Again, these are the cool white, and they do have a slight hint of blue to them, so it should shine through quite nicely. This is all connected up. Again, I've got a little quick connector here. If you were going to wire this straight into the mains, then obviously you would put a DC connector on there, but that'll do for now. I'm just going to quickly cover up these connections here and then put it all back together again, and hopefully we'll see what it's like in just a moment. One quick note to make: this LED strip here is actually sat over where one of these little posts was. Now these don't seem to have any kind of any functionality at all, so I simply just cut it off. Don't think it makes a great deal of difference. One thing that I should really have mentioned earlier on is this obviously is a destructive process. You're destroying something that you've paid a fair amount of money for, so I think you've got to be certain that it's something you're keeping. For me, it's certainly a keeper. Here's the top part of the base again, and just to show you, I've foiled all the inside, bit of foil tape everywhere. Looks lovely and messy, but that stops any of the light sort of shining through the painted area. And the other thing I've done as well is just here, that you can see, I've cut away just a small amount so that we can pass the cable out the back, ready to connect up. So I'm going to piece it all together again, and we'll switch it on and see what it looks like. Okay, so we're all done, everything's back together, and here we go, the grand reveal. I'm going to turn these on. There we go, let's just focus in on that so you can really see how beautiful does that look. In person it's really not that bright, obviously just the exposure on the camera is changing that a little bit, but it really does look very, very nice indeed. Anyway, I hope you've kind of enjoyed this little tutorial. If you have any questions, or maybe you need a bit of help with it, feel free to drop me a quick line. I'm always happy to impart a little bit of extra knowledge. Yeah, you can probably find more details on some of the other bits and pieces that I'm doing, and stay up to date with me on www.thecollectioncorner.com. Thanks again for watching, and come back again soon.